Today is September 20th, 2018, Thursday, 6:30 p.m. Geary Ciccarone. Ed Comeau.
Present.
Stephen Bailey. Dianne Smith.
Here.
Tim Straz.
I'm here.
Rick Surratt.
Present.
And David Champy II, chairman, is here. And we don't have any alternates. Did you sit up here?
Sounds good.
All right. So we have any public comments?
Yes.
Yes, Rich.
As you know, the selectmen are charged with enforcing our zoning. And there's a section in home-based businesses that I think is pretty vague. And I think it's maybe the fourth or fifth paragraph. It says the activity will be incidental to the primary use of the home. I don't know what that means. Is that 100%, 25%? How do you define incidental? Lawyers would have fun with that.
They would.
So my suggestion or recommendation is put a number in there. And whatever the number is, fine, but we can defend a number. We can't defend incidental.
Understood.
Incidental meaning what?
That's,
That's the point he's trying to make.
I thought it said ancillary.
no, read, I think it's the fifth paragraph. The home-based business will be incidental to the primary use of the dwelling.
Okay.
So you're suggesting like what, square footage of the?
Whatever you want to put this
Percentage of square
percentage,
footage.
define it. Because if you ask 5 people what incidental means, you're going to get 5 different answers.
Yeah, it's under permitted uses, A1A. Farms and single-family dwellings with accessory buildings incidental thereto. It's that word, incidental.
Incidental.
No, that's.
Well, farming is
That's
perfect.
not home-based, that's
Yeah, I
not
know.
home-based
I'll read
business.
this.
Where,
But you have to, this there is a home-based business.
I guess what I'm saying is that the word shows up in the first part of zoning too.
I'm not sure I have that section, which section?
Home-based business.
It's page 1 and 2 of the zoning regs.
Fifth paragraph, maybe fourth paragraph, fifth paragraph.
Seventh,
Okay.
B7. 2/3 of the way down, page 2.
thank you, Dan.
Could you read the whole thing for me? I didn't bring a copy. It would just,
The home occupations and/or home-based businesses shall remain limited in scope and shall be clearly incidental and secondary to the residential use of the property.
So it does put secondary and it suggests limited use of the thing, but it doesn't define what that is.
that's right.
Correct.
That's open to interpretation. So that puts the town at risk if we have to justify it or challenge someone in court.
Well, home-based business is a business run out of a place where somebody lives.
Yes, that's what it says.
Are you saying that you don't want the business to be, use more of the square footage of the home than the
Well,
occupancy?
I'm not trying to quantify it. I'm just saying that incidental you can't define. I don't know what that means.
It's come up before in other towns, I know. That's
In
what
words.
is it? Do you have employees? Do you have
That's the
retail after retail?
Well, that's the
exposure,
fun. I mean,
blah, blah, blah.
You say 4 employees, that's clear.
Yeah.
Should it be less than 3 times the size of the dwelling? We need a number, that's all I'm suggesting.
Diane?
We ran into this to some extent when we were discussing ADUs. And I'm looking at what the definition is in our zoning regs for an ADU, a residential living unit incidental and subordinate to the single-family dwelling, blah, blah, blah. And that was not verbatim, but pretty close to what the statute had said, if I remember correctly. And I think that it's been, you know, historically, it's purposely vaguely worded. I can appreciate, you know, the selectman's position of having to enforce something that is not particularly well defined, but it's not the only place, as someone else pointed out, it's even in the beginning of Article 2 with regard to residential agriculture,
Yeah.
the word
Well,
incidental.
But when you said, on the ADU, I think you said it can't be bigger than the primary unit.
Yeah,
It says
that's true.
incidental and subordinate to, right?
Yeah.
Subordinate means, to me,
Smaller than.
Small.
yes.
Yes.
That I think we could argue, right?
Well, but that's different.
Yeah, that's still on a
Business.
general.
What if someone had like a garage and their garage is bigger than their house and that, you know, they can't have their home business anymore? Like that's, I don't know.
Well, that's
Well-
incidental and secondary. So-
Well, if I may speak, Mr. Chairman, it is that usually where the rubber meets the road on this issue is if it's a noxious occupation. In other words, that people get annoyed that this activity is going on. It's of such a scope that it's hard to ignore that it's going on, or it's loud, or it's, you know, creates traffic problems, or it, you know, it puts smoke that goes over the neighborhood or something like that.
Okay.
The definition here is accompanying, but not a major part of something, occurring by chance in connection with something else. Incidental to, liable to happen as a consequence of. So it sounds like it does need to be, it needs to be a better word, I would think.
Well, you know, then speaking as a former selectman, so you can pick a fight with people that you really wouldn't want to get into if you just try to make it. I remember there was an issue in the town that, where I was a selectman, that this guy was making printed circuit boards in his basement. You know, and that there's a potential topic. So, but the only reason why it came up was that he wanted to add a bedroom onto his house, and the building inspector discovered that he was making printed circuit boards in his basement. He had no retail exposure. He did it totally by contract, and nobody knew he was doing it. You know, until it just sort of came out. It's like, well, we got to put a stop to this. And it got into I thought, a rather silly fight, because it was of no consequence. Nobody complained about it. You know, even though the occupation was, I don't know why anybody would want to do that, but you know, it wasn't bothering anybody.
Okay.
Should we contact the attorney just to see if incidental is a good word to use in that? It may be fine.
Well, I think the hard part for the selectmen is that it's not anything that they can definitively draw a line in the sand and say that they're violating the zoning. They don't have grounds to be able to go to somebody and say that you're not following the zoning regs.
So example, you have a 3,000 square foot home and 1,500 square feet is used as a business. Is that an issue?
It sounds more than incidental.
Right?
Incidental didn't, the definition didn't have anything to say about size.
No, it doesn't say
Right,
about
it
the
doesn't.
size, but
Also, it's,
half the building was
just be aware, if we're looking to limit sizes of things, of allowed uses, you're limiting someone's potential to earn a living.
yeah.
And also be aware, bed and breakfasts are allowed in this town, and suppose you put it, instead of incidental, suppose you knock it down to 25%, and an in-town B&B can only use 25% of the house, maybe that's one bedroom where they have a possibility of using 5 or 6 for an owner-occupied B&B. It's just going after size of the workspace is, it makes no sense to me at all. Whereas you're allowing employees, for employees, you have not allowed businesses in town that could be annoying. Gas stations, car repair, sales,
I just don't know how
kennels.
I don't know how the selectmen enforce that ordinance.
There is no way.
Yeah. What are we trying to enforce?
Yeah.
Well, if someone complains and says, we've got an issue with our zoning, And it says specifically, this paragraph is a violation. The selectmen have a responsibility to pursue that. Now, they can either blow them off and say it's incidental or not incidental, and that's where you get into a lawsuit. Because someone's gonna say, my interpretation is it's not incidental, and someone else is gonna say it is, and we'll see in court.
Diane?
Well, there's two words in this that describe the kind of the relationship of the home occupation. Shall be clearly incidental and secondary to the residential use of the property. Well, we just pointed out that our ADU says incidental and subordinate to. So secondary and subordinate are they're not exactly synonymous, but the intent, I think, is pretty clear. So, I mean, I don't, I guess my last comment would be a question. Has this come up as an issue for the selectmen to deal with?
Not to my knowledge. Rich?
Officially?
Try to stay ahead of it.
Okay,
Try to stay ahead of it.
not officially. Okay. All right, well,
Yeah, you could put the way our zoning is, take you where you live, and let's put a drive-in food stand across the street. 4 employees, traffic coming in and out. I'm trying to think of something that's not very pleasant to have across the street. But that's allowed,
mhm.
unless we want to say it's small in size, and then it's maybe acceptable. So, we don't bound it.
We're still on public comment, so go ahead.
We
Michelle.
are, okay. Yeah, I think to the point, I don't think the size is what people are gonna have a problem with. I think it's other things like traffic or smells bad as air pollution type of thing or something like that. So I feel like if you were gonna tighten the regulations on something, do it for what is really an impact to the community, not it's so many square feet. Because for a lot of people, their business is, if that live and work at home, it's equal. You can't live there if you don't have a job, so it's like
Right.
50-50, right? So I don't know, I think it's a tough thing to get into, and I think focusing on what you'd want to limit the impact would maybe be a way to do it. That's more effective than saying square feet.
Which essentially, we've done that with what they allow in town for different businesses.
Well, we had the issue with David Goddardera with the, having concerts in the barn at Tumbledown Farms. That came up because, yes, it's a agribusiness, so to speak, but, the feeling was that it really was not, it shouldn't have that kind of activity going on what's supposed to be a farm.
But farms and agribusiness.
I know, but then
home-based
it
business.
sort of went against the tide because the state at that point was promoting agribusiness.
But I think it's just the same thing, like you limit the hours something can operate, or you limit that they can't be noisy to the neighbors, or that type of thing. And that would have been something that would be enforceable, that would solve that type of problem.
I know people that use nearly half their house for a home-based business.
Then say 50%. I'm not picking a number. I'm not picking a number, say 100% of the house can be used. But if it's a number, you can defend it. If it's incidental, you can't. And now we're going to get into a contest where some residents want us to take action, and we're in a tight spot.
Well,
It's
suppose
gotta be
residents want us to take action on an issue that is allowed.
Then the town gets sued
Why?
because they don't think the selectmen are doing their job.
If it's clearly in the zoning that it's allowed, what's the problem?
That's what the court is for.
That's right.
Well,
That's why it costs the town money. That's exactly right.
Tom, good.
You have case law on this, believe me. Live free or die. We're talking about New Hampshire here, and so other towns have run into, because when, we had that issue with the thing, we asked, well, what about towns around here? And they had pretty much the same kind of zoning that the town had itself. And where it had come up, it usually didn't end very happily. And in this case, the guy had a perfect right to do, that's what the court found. Anyway. So there is case law, and then presumably the SRPC could tell us about that. They must have some, record of where this issue has come up, if you know.
Well, I've made a note of it, Rich. I think it's a good thing to discuss, and if there's any further discussion, I'd like to move on. But I think that it's definitely a note that we'll investigate, and we understand the pinch that you guys have put in with that and the zoning. So, no further comments on that. Is there any other public comments that we can discuss? Michelle?
I did have a comment. I was
Sure.
just wondering if you guys were planning on posting the survey results from that planning survey that you did, because I thought it might be a good idea for people to understand what is informing the, future planning that you're doing. It might be helpful seeing obviously some conflicting opinions, then people would at least be able to see, that it's coming from a democratic vote survey.
So that is part of the discussion we're going to talk about with old business, is master plan with the results. I know I've been asked a couple of times by people in town, and rightfully so. I mean, if you participate in something like that, you want to know the results. Otherwise, you feel that what you did was not warranted. So we will be posting that. We just got to come up with a format to do it.
Well, we did discuss last meeting that we would close survey acceptance at the October meeting. And we can post results after we've included whatever, I don't know if we have more surveys that need to be entered.
We have 4.
Oh,
We're going to go over the mail in a minute,
Yep,
but I think what we could do is we can discuss it more when we get to old business as to the benefit to post what we currently have.
Yep.
And the 4, I don't think is going to really influence what I've seen for survey results.
No, there are trends.
So pretty clear trends. so.
Yes.
Right, any further comments? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Michelle. Announcements and correspondence mail. As I said, we received 4 of the surveys back, so we will log those in as well into the Google Forms. We received an email sharing ideas and shaping the future, 2018 annual conference and exhibition. This is on Wednesday, November 14th and Thursday, November 15th. So let's see. Trying to figure out what this is pertaining to. You seen this one before?
New Hampshire Municipal Association.
Yeah.
Is it an invitation to go somewhere?
77th Annual Conference and Exhibition. So there's registration dates and deadlines.
So
And
this isn't just planning related, it's town administration and town government?
yes. So registration fees include all conference sessions, materials, and meals. You must be an NHMA member, employee, elected, or an appointed official, or a member of the NHMA affiliated group to attend. So this will be with mail if somebody wants to take a peek at it if they're interested in going to get a meal at a meeting. Let's see, protecting drinking water supply land workshop. This is on Monday, September 24th, 10 a.m. till 1 p.m. at the Rochester Community Center. And this is put on by SRPC. If you're interested, we'll put that right in the mailbox as well. But then we have an email, and this might be a good thing to address the selectmen with. It says, hello, if a private property owner offers to give land to the town to widen and do drainage improvements to a road, does the acquisition of the land require a voter approval at town meeting or just public hearing by selectmen? So this was a question that was, let's see, land use administrator. And it says the town of Winchester, which is interesting. Not town of Brookfield. Wow. But they want to know what our feedback would be on that.
Do they spam all the towns?
I guess they do.
Is that an attorney, or is that?
It doesn't say it was an attorney. Check it out. This says land use administrator.
Official.
Yep, that's what it looks like. So Northeast Solar Conference, linking landowners and developers. This is on October 15th and 16th, 2018. Boston Seaport in Boston, Mass. Anybody's interested in building a solar farm, here's your meeting you can go to. And we have 2 copies of Convene. I know Diane's been waiting for this issue.
Really?
What's the topic?
So lofty goals is this one here. And let's see, this one is 20th Annual Directory of Meeting Sites, Cities, and Services. It's a special issue, that's why I thought that you'd be interested in that
Upside
one.
down backwards, because it's got the title, no, the other one, the one that you,
Oh, it's got 2 covers.
2 covers.
Yeah.
okay.
Whether you want to read right to left or left to
Yeah,
right.
right. So special edition, so
That's really special.
Very special. Figure out how to
you
read
can do
it.
books like that. All right, we have a couple of letters here, let's see. This is for a pit inspection. These are the certified letters. Your name's on this one.
Can I speak to that now?
Would you please speak to this?
I
both pits.
don't, I'm asking you, because the one pit, that's Smith pit, I haven't received anything from him yet. I don't know if the office has. And I did speak to the owner of the Nason pit, and he said we can call it any time, and he'll meet us up there, and we can inspect that pit. So I'm just waiting for, did we get anything back from Smith?
Nothing. And I did get the owner's cell phone number for the pit up on Moose Mountain Road.
So that's who I called, and he told me that he would be there whenever we.
Yeah. And I had the cell phone number because I issued a burn permit that day. We got calls from people in town on.
Friday night, maybe?
Yeah.
And a request was put in this thing?
Took a good
Yes,
picture.
it was certified mail.
Right here. So both of these are certified mail letters that went out to the pit owners.
Oh, they already went out.
All right.
Just to repeat myself, so the Mason pit that's owned by Moose Mountain LLC, Properties LLC, I can call him at any time during the day, and he can meet us there anytime we want to inspect that pit.
So as soon as we hear from Smith, and he usually says, go ahead whenever you want.
Yeah.
We'll set up a date with Moose Mountain LLC. Do it.
He wanted to, I said it wasn't a requirement that you be there, but we just wanted, complimentary, just to make sure he knew that we were up there. But he wanted to be there to meet us, shake hands, and meet us.
So I wonder if there's a number we can try to look up for the Smith pit.
Well, there is.
We can give him a phone call.
And just an added note to that, going through this process with the letters with the pit, we could probably tighten this process up a little bit, where maybe even not only sending them a letter, but send them a self-addressed return letter, which would say, we give you permission, and then they'll have to do is sign it and drop it back in the mail. That way we don't have to, track them down. Because I spoke to the guy on the phone, I'd rather not do that, I'd rather have something in writing.
Right. I made that note, thank you. We can put that in our procedure for sending out the letters for the pit. Okay, let's see, we've done the correspondence mail, and as you guys know, we have 3 meeting minutes to review. What I would like to do is we'll review them one meeting at a time, and we'll vote on each one, just because there's quite a bit to review. So let's look at the July 19th, 2018 meeting minutes. Does anybody have a copy?
Mr. Chairman,
Ed?
there's some minor corrections on July 19th. Is that the one we're doing first?
Yes.
Okay. So I'll just make a motion to accept the minutes, and then somebody can second them, and then during the second, we can discuss the corrections. So I make that motion.
Second.
For correction? You seconded for correction, right?
I seconded your motion to,
Okay.
yes. I seconded your motion.
Section 5 and Section 6, Geary Ciccarone's name is spelled in 3 locations. 1 location in 5 and 2 locations in 6.
You want to suggest a spelling?
Yeah, I got a Cicarone. I hope I know how to spell his name by now.
Just one in.
It's 1 N?
Yeah, I think it's one.
Well, if it's 1 N, then it's also wrong in Section 2.
Okay, the list that of planning board members has it spelled Ciccarone. And I assume that that's accurate.
Duly noted.
Can I interrupt for a minute?
What are you doing here?
Welcome.
You don't usually get out of the house this late, so we'll get you
I'm
home.
coming from Wolfboro, and I was approached by a person in there who was interested in the secretarial job, and she had spoken to a few people, but nobody got back to her. I don't know who she spoke to. She said a woman spoke to her once.
Her name, Terry?
Huh?
Her
Her
name
name is
Terry?
Terry.
Yeah, she's received emails and communication back, and she hasn't followed up.
Oh, well, she asked me tonight, so I told her I'd see Monday, but I figured you were in here tonight, so I'd stop in.
Okay.
So she would like a follow-up and whatever you people discuss, I don't know. So she sounded interested, as long as it wasn't, she was under the assumption it was office hours, and she doesn't want that. She just wants to do the what one night, whatever you guys do. So if you would call her or do whatever, appreciate it, okay? Now you can resume, thank you very much. Good night. I'll check my mailbox. Okay, this is good news. Good night, all.
Good night.
Thanks for stopping in.
Yep.
Drive safe.
Feels like Monday.
Excuse me?
Feels like Monday again.
But not to me, that much. Thank you.
So, Mr. Chairman, just to be clear, it looks like all of the Ciccarones
Yep.
as well. Okay, so just so we know that for the minutes.
Search and replace. Thank you, Ed.
Diane has a question.
Diane?
I have a minor editing suggestion.
Good.
On page 3,
Yep.
the last bullet point, administrative assistant vacancy.
Yep.
The the last paragraph in that, excuse me, the last sentence in the first paragraph that starts Comeau stated, goes on to say, who may be interested in filling the position of Brookfield Administrative Assistant, and I'd suggest that we just add Brookfield Planning Board. Minor point. And then it goes on to, oh, sorry, and then the next sentence, he mentioned that some members on the boards on other towns are filling in the role in multiple towns. I think that what is meant here is that some assistants for boards on other towns. It's not, I don't think it's the members. So that just needs to be wordsmithed a little bit to clarify the meaning. I'm not quite sure how the best way is to change that, but it just didn't, it was not clear.
Ed, could you speak to that? Because that was a comment that you made on camera relating to the discussion with other town board members, that I believe you had said that those board members were also working in other towns.
I thought I was mentioning that in some towns, the board members do the work. Isn't that what I was mentioning? I'd have to look at the tape again, I don't remember.
That was the,
Yeah, that was the gist of it.
Right. I'll review the tape again and just, we'll wordsmith that. Diane, thank you.
Oh, that the board members were actually fulfilling the role
Right.
of the
Right.
administrative assistant. Okay, I didn't read it that way at all.
I think I went on to say something about
I do remember you saying.
saving money
Right.
by not having somebody else do it, that we would have a clerk, basically, that would be one of the members.
So I can wordsmith that so it's a little bit cleaner and clearer. Diane, you ready for a motion?
I already made the motion and Diane seconded.
To accept the minutes as edited?
Yes. Well,
Okay.
it was,
Well, actually, the motion, I guess, should be that I move to accept the July 19, 2018 minutes as amended, as corrected.
Yes, as amended. Do we have a second from Diane?
well, I'll second the second motion.
Second
First
the
was for
second.
discussion.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Abstain.
So we can move on to the August 16th, 2018 minutes for review.
I don't know if Bailey's spelled correctly the roll call. Or absent.
Nope.
Also the Ciccarone.
Have an edit for the adjournment of the meeting. It's actually 7:50 is when we adjourn. You got a motion to accept the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? So accept the minutes as recommended for the edits.
Yes.
Thank you. Just wanted to clarify that we did make some edits, so. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries as edited.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
do we have a draft set of minutes for the September 6th meeting?
we do.
Okay.
You have there?
Yeah, under your right hand.
Oh, this.
It's a very short,
Okay, gotcha.
so we'll move on to September 6th, our meeting for collecting of the master plan surveys. Suggestion for Ciccarone, last name spelling. And Bailey, last name spelling.
David, I didn't know if you wanted your son's name in here, and frankly, I couldn't remember his name. Sorry.
I'm not sure if he was present
He was a
during
guest,
the
wasn't he?
call. Yeah,
It was a short timer.
yeah. So that doesn't mean,
Okay, I'll remove that.
thank you.
T. Straz stated a preference to work alone.
I did actually. That's correct.
Good thing, because we were out of volunteers.
Yeah. Make a motion to accept the September 6, 2018 minutes as amended with spelling corrections. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstain.
Abstain.
Motion carries. Okay, for new business, obviously, Ginny mentioned that there was someone from Wolfboro who was interested in the assistant position, which Dianne had contacted, and I had contacted her as well. I supplied an email to her as well. I can follow up. But on the other hand of that, we have another candidate who is interested. And I think that we should probably go into some non-public to discuss the other candidate per RSA 91A 3:3 2B. We do have to have a vote to go into non-public. So we have Rick Surratt, Tim Straz,
Rick, you gotta say yes.
Yes.
Tim Straz,
Yes.
Dianne Smith,
Yes.
Ed Comeau,
Yes.
and yes, Dave Champy II. So, I'm at 7:13.
You want us to leave, or are you gonna go
We'll
someplace?
just go and say that. All right. So, I'd like to have a motion to seal the non-public minutes
And the session.
and session. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Motion to go public? Yes,
Second.
Discussion? All in favor of the public? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? There. All right. So some of the discussion that we had is pertaining to the new hire, and we are planning on having an answer by next meeting. That's what we will finalize by next meeting. Let's see, old business. So we've been doing a lot of discussion about the master plan. We talked earlier about these 4 that came in. I kind of expect we'll probably see a couple more that roll in. We will need to enter these into Google Docs. We'll probably hold a small, brief meeting between now and October's meeting just to come in with laptops and do that. So that meeting will be posted, obviously. So survey results, we got a public comment earlier stating that it would be nice to have the survey results. I would say that at this point, 95% of the surveys are back, and it gives us a really good feel for what the townspeople want. And I would be okay with collaborating the graphs that we have at this point. I don't know if you could answer, Tim, what it would involve to, let's say we get another 10 surveys back by next meeting, because I think that's what we said, is by next meeting, that's when the drop dead is. And we'll shut off the, I think there's a switch right on Google Docs that won't accept any more.
Right. So
So,
you can just dump it into a spreadsheet, print out the results.
okay, so like screen capture into the spreadsheet and put it on
No,
the
put it
website?
in a spreadsheet and just make a PDF out of it, and that'll be it.
Okay,
If we want to work with the data some more, we can look at what we have for results and see if we need to combine some like answers from some of our write-ins.
so there were, some of the category that I noticed, there was some discussion about public access to Kingswood Lake. And there was an entire row of ones, which is comments.
Yeah.
A lot of those comments were people voicing their frustration that they don't have access to Kingswood Lake, so I would say that that would be poor, as opposed to just putting a comment on there.
Yeah, there was a lot of sarcastic remarks.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that needs to be defined into a category that we don't have, potentially.
Right.
Point of information, Mr. Chairman, is there, the drop dead date is, it's gonna be a specific date?
By next meeting, which is the third Thursday of October.
Okay.
It's the 18th.
Okay,
Yeah.
by the next meeting.
It is the 18th.
Diane?
If memory serves me, and it doesn't always, I thought that we were going to have, publish the online access for everybody to enter it themselves. And I couldn't find that, because I was ready to do my survey after our last meeting.
Well, yeah, we didn't have really have a discussion of posting it. I think we casually discussed it, but it was more in terms of being able to enter the data ourselves from the paper.
Okay,
But
okay.
we can make it
All right.
available to the public to
No,
enter.
that was just my understanding, and I might have gotten that mixed up with, it was going to be entered by us. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, and it's not your only misunderstanding, because I thought that we also had a link on the town page, but what I discovered is it's a link to the survey, but not the electronic part of the survey, so, yeah. What would it take to be able to put that? I mean, it's gonna be on there for a month.
The email link that I sent you guys enter,
Mhm.
that can be the link that you
Okay.
can use.
You know, we're gonna have a new website that it's going
Oh, that's right.
hopefully live shortly. There was a session on Tuesday.
Right. Well, I think people are familiar with the current town webpage, so,
Don't make any changes between now and Tuesday,
Okay.
Tuesday morning, because
okay.
what was copied over last week is what's coming live on Tuesday, and
Thank
anything you
you.
make in one, you gotta make in both.
All right.
Tuesday, it's only 4 days away.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, didn't we say we didn't want it to be electronic on the website
No.
to make sure that we only got people that we mail to that are town residents?
That was part of the discussion we had, I think, back in November, or when we originally were talking about the survey, which format we would be using. There was concern about having it live on the web, that anybody could enter at will, which is a valid concern. I don't know, I'm trying to think in my mind, we've had 102 respondents, 104 oh yes, plus our write-ins here, and then out of a population of, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean,
Percentage.
I'm not really concerned that Russia's gonna, change the vote,
Right,
so.
Yeah, but they are anonymous surveys, that's the thing.
that is correct.
That's, if somebody had to put their name and address on, you could verify that.
Right.
Now, people in town did ask where could they get another copy of it for other members of their family.
Yeah.
And they could have went to the website and downloaded
Right.
the actual survey.
Right, they could actually download the paper survey and fill it out. I mean, over about 15% right now of the town has responded, so that's pretty good.
Diane?
I think that I'm less concerned now that I've heard this discussion about having it posted on the website, especially with the website changing, and, there's only a month to go, so I would, hopefully that it'll port over what we have now, will get ported over to the new website as far as the link, and maybe that's enough.
For the paper.
So I'll just
Yeah.
write it up and drop it off.
Well, Diane, you have the link.
You have the
can fill
link.
it out.
Just go online, what we did right here with the computer, just go
Oh,
on,
well, that's true.
Yeah.
do it in the link.
Yeah, but you'll probably find out that it's me.
Right.
It won't be anonymous.
I've memorized all of the survey. So when I see something
We'll
new.
do a stylistic analysis.
I'll tell you what, when we do data entry again, I'll bring mine.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna leave it as is, and we're getting the new website live on Tuesday, the 25th.
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, should we meet again like we did, or like you did on the 6th? So we can meet a little sooner than next month to start, compiling and doing more to this?
I would say, I mean, at most, we're gonna see, what, another 10 surveys? I think it'd be worth us sitting down and reviewing what we have for the total that's already been entered in, and then the 10. I don't think it's gonna change the survey results, but I think it'd be worthwhile to sit down and discuss how we wanna present it. I think you said you can post something pretty easily to the website, but that can't be done until Tuesday.
As far as,
The results that we have right
I don't think
now.
we should be posting our results that we have right now. I think we need to wait till the completion.
What was the date what was the cutoff date that we gave?
October 18th.
Yeah.
I mean, I know somebody would like some preliminary,
The issue is this public information.
right,
Once it's been submitted to the board, anybody can ask for it.
and it's sitting in a closet.
So how do we get to it, right? That's what you gotta be prepared for.
And I've been asked, and I think that I would definitely want to appease the townspeople because they are very curious as to what the results are. And I don't think that 10 surveys is really going to skew the results. So if there's some way that we can
Well, I
put
think.
the results of the survey on and then put a note on there that, the survey is still active until October 18th and this could change.
Yeah, but there may be comments within those 10 that are valuable.
Inflammatory?
No, well, I certainly entered some surveys that were quite unpleasant
That's
Yeah.
still
in
public.
opinion, which is very valuable. They're,
Diane, did you have something?
I did, but I'll wait.
do we have the October 18th date published on the site as far as the survey end date, or is it just in our minutes?
Just in the minutes.
Maybe that could be potentially part of our disconnect here, is the public doesn't know when the end date is.
Well, I can make sure it goes in the paper. I can do that.
Yeah, it'd be worthwhile to be able to let people know that there is a date.
And, and there will be results after that, I can tell people that, if that's what you want to do, then,
I think that would,
That's the feel I'm getting. We can have a motion and vote on it if people want to still wait until the 18th, after the 18th.
so they would have to either come here and get a paper copy, or they'd have to go to the link on the website.
well, there wouldn't be a link on there could be, we could put a PDF of the results on the website, but we would have to, imagine we have to approve it first.
Yeah.
Motion.
I think he was asking about the
No,
survey
but on the
itself.
survey itself, I was
Yeah.
thinking about.
No.
So,
well,
because they probably got it, it was mailed to everybody who was on the
That's right.
record. But they don't necessarily, they may have misplaced it.
Sure.
Yep.
And we spur them on somehow.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
Get some more entries.
they would either have to get it here, or they'd have to go to the website to get it going.
That's correct. So it would be a paper copy here. We prefer to just have them go to the link and print it out. I
But
think,
then you do have the issue that Ed raises, is this somebody who's double dipping, or who's from another town or something? I don't know.
well, if it's a paper copy, if someone wants to fly here from Russia after they.
Oh, I know,
That
that was there anyway, somebody could make 50 copies of it and
If
fill
they
them
get time
out
to do
in
that.
different handwritings and stuff them into the slot in the town hall, or mail them without a return address, and I don't know.
I don't have any problem with putting on the website a preliminary copy of what we've already compiled. Why is that an issue?
Well, then you're sort of suggesting where it's going. I suppose that could have a positive effect in the sense, of people who don't agree with what the preliminary results are, they want to get their 2 cents in, and it gives them a last attempt chance to do that, as long as they're not too sarcastic.
Yes.
Yes.
When the letters, excuse me, what did the letter say that went out with the survey? Was there a cutoff date? What do we tell
There
them?
wasn't a-
There was not.
I don't remember the date.
No, there's no date.
Okay.
Last page.
But in a way, if you tell them there's a deadline for doing it, then people will say, oh, then we'll know the results.
Yes.
So you'd be addressing the issue when we're going to see results. Well, when you get the last survey, at a deadline.
Diane?
I'm a little uncomfortable about the information being put out for public consumption before the board has had an opportunity to review that presentation. Not that I'm suggesting that we wouldn't. I'm uncomfortable with not having an opportunity to look at it before it gets on the website.
I agree.
I agree with Diane. There were some of the things I entered probably would not be wise for publish.
Mr. Chairman, but I would make everybody aware that if someone puts a 91-day request in for any documents that are happening within this meeting, and I'm assuming that it was collected in a meeting, so someone could get the information if they really want it. So,
Well, right, I think there needs to be some filtering. A lot of the 1%, one entry things can be condensed into, we had write in an answer, and a lot of those answers were similar. That could be condensed into one grouping for percentage rather than some of the coarse language that was used to describe their displeasure.
and Mr. Chairman, I'll add again that every single one of those surveys need to be kept because it's a public document. So if somebody requests our copy of all the surveys to read everything that's available, just make
They're
sure.
available,
Absolutely.
they're locked on the vault.
Yes,
We have them filed.
yes.
Shelley, not on the board, but I will take public comment from you.
Thank you, sorry guys.
Because we definitely want public's feedback as to what,
I feel that it would be disingenuous to not have the full survey information with all the expletives included for people to read if they wanted to. And I feel like the best thing that you could probably do from my perspective would be put together a short summation document that has, what all the outcome was for the numerical votes, like 98% said this, 50% said that. And then have like a short summation paragraph about what all the comments said. I think that people will probably read that. Most people will read that, 1 or 2 page document, and that will give them what they're looking for. But to start changing things or hiding things
Well, you can-
seems like it's
You could refer.
cross-purpose with the survey.
You can refer them to the office for what
Right,
detail
yeah,
they want to put
sure,
down.
but yeah, I think some kind of summation thing and then say, that the other things are available would seem fair.
Well, there's always expletive deleted is one of your options.
Well, I agree with what you're saying, Michelle, on the whole, but I do feel that some of the responses we received, if we did some editing based on their intent, that would be, you could classify some of the comments, and they need to be classified.
some of them could be classified as defamation of character as well.
Exactly.
So that's what we have to be really
Yeah.
careful of.
Yes.
Yeah, I feel
Is that
like
a
if you
kind-
call it a summary or something like that, and you're not saying that these are the results and they're edited and here they are, like, that seems like you're censoring what people are saying, and you can't do that. It's not.
Is there a category for defamation of character?
Yeah, I don't know.
What if we just did the graph results, because that does not show the comments unless you click on the graph on docs, you can read the comments. And we just show that there were, on Kingswood Lake, an entire page of ones, which were just comments. And most of the people thought that,
Yep, we could do that.
I think that that would still show results.
Yeah.
And then when people start questioning, where are all these ones, we say they're comments. People put comments in instead of answering by a classification. So we're not discounting the comments. I mean, they're still there.
Yep,
But really what we want is we want the sum of poor, good, excellent, whatever, right?
Right.
That's what we really want to get the meat of. And then the people that want to use it as a, excuse the phrase, but a pissing contest,
Yeah.
somewhere to voice their frustration,
Right.
they should have put poor.
the only thing I worry about in that scenario is the comments may have more respondents than the categories that we've assigned. So how do you get the gist of what these people are saying if you're saying they're, 50% of the people answered comments, 20% answered good, and, that is kind of the weight of where that was going, and it could apply to some of the other categories too. I think we need to look at it and at least kind of determine whether or not somebody's gonna get really upset if they saw the raw data for this survey. And I think some people will.
Rich?
I think Tim is, what I'm hearing Tim say is he put some comments in they'd like to share with the board and that you guys decide what you want to do with them, because he thinks they're pretty sensitive.
I entered some in as well.
All right, so I think that's what this discussion's about, right? There's some stuff that was entered as raw comments that when the board gets together, they may not even want to show. Right?
Agreed.
Well, we may have to have a category for those things. So they have
That's what I.
whatever the breakdown is.
Right, I mean, we have the raw data that explain, that sitting in the vault that has those people's comments, but I think it needs to be for the consumption, it needs to be filtered a bit.
And some of the comments that were in there would definitely fall under the poor category. Like, if they're not happy with something, they went into comments and they just wrote a bunch of expletives of how aggravated they were.
Yes.
Why not just, that's poor. Obviously, they're not happy with it, so let's at least grade what they're not happy with versus just a comment. So,
I think maybe this warrants another discussion. We meet and enter some of this, our remaining data, and maybe we need to have a discussion around that afterwards. Maybe we need to have a closed session and look at the raw data amongst the group and determine if any of it, what needs to happen. I mean, it's a little difficult to say right now without, I mean, I know what I entered for some of the survey things, and I would not feel comfortable as a member of this group just saying, here you go, the public, read what your fellow townspeople wrote. It's just my opinion on that.
And Mr. Chairman, if something in those comments mentioned people's names, we would have to do that in non-public. If it's
Well,
somebody in
you'd
town.
probably be advised not to publish them, speaking from the point of view of at least libel law, as I understand it as a journalist.
Well, I'm saying if somebody's name's in there, but they're trying to make a point, and we have to categorize it, we have to talk about it, so we're gonna have to read it, we're gonna have to
Right.
discuss it somehow, so it would have to be in non-public if it's somebody's name.
yeah, most of them were directed towards individual people that work in the town, positions in the town, not necessarily people's names. So displeasure with certain individuals who hold different positions in the town. So I didn't read any names, but there were definitely some things that were pointing at people that hold positions in town,
Yes.
so.
That's interesting.
All right,
So to recap, you thought it would be good to put a limited amount of the categories up, and then we're gonna have to address those comments at a separate time. Is that what you said?
I think we should vote on it because I've heard, in the discussion that we've had, I've heard some good, good feedback about could it skew the other results of the other 10 people, or could it spark people that have been sitting on their butt saying, well, everybody else is taking care of it, and then they see the results and they go, oh, I don't like that, I gotta go answer this.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of where I'm at too, is, it's like elections, you know, you watch elections on TV, and as one president starting to run ahead of the other one, all of a sudden the next state, that president bumps ahead because everybody's PO'd that guy's getting voted in. Do we want to skew the results that way, or do we want to have just a cutoff date?
I vote for another announcement.
Yeah.
As Thomas mentioned, October 18th, the end date.
Yeah.
Give people a link to the website, say paper copies are available at Town Hall. We have a month until the end, and we'd love to hear your
Last
input.
chance to be heard.
Yes.
And the next time, we have to make sure we put a cutoff date in the survey, next time we send it out.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for the last minute, nothing would get done, I'm saying.
Right.
Well, before
So Tim, can you put that into a motion? Let's vote on it, and we'll have
Sure.
it documented.
I'd like to make a motion that we post on the town website that October 18th is the last day we will be accepting surveys for the master plan.
I'll second.
Discussion. So do we want to put town website and paper?
Sure.
So the motion is to post on the town website and newspaper that there is a cutoff date when the survey will be
Yeah.
finalized.
And we look forward to more input.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I did second.
Okay, we have discussion. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. I love a democracy. A republic. Yes, sorry.
Still a very messy way to do business.
Yeah. All right, so I think we beat up the master plan pretty well. I think we have a pretty good direction forward. And again, thank you, Tim, for the work you did on it.
No problem. That's good.
Okay, do we have any public comments?
Can we go back to
Actually,
business?
go for it.
I just have, if member Surratt and myself are going to do the pit inspections, Rick, are you available anytime during the day? So I can call him maybe next week sometime, we can coordinate that.
Yes.
And maybe by that time I'll contact or get in contact with the Smith Pit. owner.
Historically, we've done it in the water, right?
Yes. Okay, just want to make sure he was available.
Okay. Any other old business we want to discuss? Any more discussion on master plan? Can we move on?
I have something in the old business. Just want to make sure, looking at our scheduling, is there something else that we need to do that's coming up?
We have annual budget we need to finalize as well. But I think that will be easier to finalize when we have a candidate that we decide on.
Okay.
So that's going to be done by November?
December 1st, we start.
Our November meeting is really where it's going to be done by then. So you guys have it. So,
Some planning boards have a treasurer. Obviously, we don't have one. But how much money is left in our budget, do we know?
I looked at that at the last meeting, didn't I? And it was like we hadn't even burned through a third of our budget.
right. I don't know the exact figure on that, but
I was just wondering.
we're way behind on what we budgeted. But we've also been down an assistant, and other people have been taking on that work.
That's the majority of the budget.
Correct. Any more old business?
I just want to repeat again that we have 5 business days to get the draft minutes to this meeting and
Yep.
the draft minute to the non-public we just did.
Yep.
That's it.
Well, sealed though.
When we make the numbers.
Yeah. they're not, they don't have to be posted because they're not supposed to be posted.
I don't think we ever had any non-public, the planning board.
I don't recall we were in. Okay, any more old business? Hearing none, do we have any more public comments?
I have a question. It's not really, didn't come up because of anything in our town before anybody gets upset. It's a question about, is there any kind of zoning around people having yard sales, like for extended duration of time?
No.
No. Okay, I was just curious.
I believe there are surrounding towns that do have that stipulation, because there was one on 109 for a number of years.
Yeah.
They had a
My
year-round
in-laws
yard
town
sale.
has a couple people that have like permanent yard sales.
Yard sales,
Quite
yeah.
big eyesores, and I was wondering the last time I was driving there if there was anything zoning about that.
Yeah, we don't have anything in our zoning. Rich?
Two comments. If any resident wants to change the zoning, a petition of the 25 voting members from town will get it on the town warrant.
Okay,
So if there's something that you want to see changed, we're allowed.
okay,
It goes to the, you can go to the planning board, you can go to the board of selectmen, or the public with 25 signatures.
okay.
My second comment was, Tuesday morning, we're going live with that new website. Training, Rick's had training, Ed's had training. So you can post your meeting minutes, you can post your calendar events. It's, the idea is we put each committee in charge of their own page on the website.
Yep.
And the way it was laid out is, well, the snapshot was taken last Tuesday, that's going to be loaded live this Tuesday.
Okay. Tom, did you do that training?
Yeah, I got that right.
Yeah, I did as well.
So was Frank for that.
Yeah.
Now, to be clear, that would mean that we're responsible for our postings.
Well, I would-
Responsible
Yeah.
for posting our minutes.
Yeah.
I would think the board would discuss how they want to do that. They own that page. Is it going to be the Wild West, or is somebody going to do the posting? How do you want to run it?
That's why I brought it up.
Well, I think that was the assumption that the trainer had, it was that somebody would be assigned to have that responsibility, but it would be by department. It wouldn't be one person like Lori who's.
That's right. Not the administrative assistant.
Say that again, not the administrative.
who's-
assistant.
The idea is, in the past, people have been saying, it's not done because Lori didn't do it.
Yeah, so she gets put on.
She's out of the loop now. The departments can do it themselves.
Yeah, it's supposed to be simple enough for anybody to basically do it, seems like.
Diane?
Who's had training for the planning board?
So we've not had training for the planning board at this time.
Well, Ed was
I
there.
mean, I was there.
Rick was there.
Yeah, wasn't there.
Oh,
You
I was
did,
there because of the chair
Rick was
of the
there.
grant review committee.
okay.
so you did the website training as well?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Well, it was a general training, and then if you needed specialized, then they'd see who around who did that.
So you were probably put on as a person to have access.
Yep.
So to get access, your password would be your email. That was put in for
We'll
you.
talk about it after.
So who's going to be responsible for the planning board?
Chairman's ultimately responsible for the planning board, so
Everything's your fault.
it will be my fault. And I got big shoulders, I can accept it.
I mean, it's not supposed to be a free-for-all, it's public comment, so I'll wait for member comment.
Any more public comment? You got the table, member comment.
The board should, on an annual basis, get a 91A training, which would assist us in knowing exactly when the postings have to be up and what the requirements are, just so, because if we make a mistake and don't post it correctly, we're gonna be in trouble, so. And how that happens, I don't know. I don't know if the selectmen have already gotten their own 91A training through the New Hampshire Municipal Association, since we do have a membership with them?
They run it periodically. Right after elections, they put a number of them on, like in March, in April. You have to go to the website, and see when the next one's scheduled.
Okay.
But I agree with you, it's very important to understand what the law says. It's not optional, right? The law says you will do this.
So I have more stuff I want to put in under 91A, so it's going to change again.
Could you investigate New Hampshire 91?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Any other member comments? Diane?
Just as a reminder, I believe that I forwarded to all the members of the planning board the invitation to attend the Moose Mountain Regional Greenway Conservation Commission mixer that they have annually. And it is, I got another update, another reminder. It's next Thursday, September 27th from 5:30 to 8:30. And the impetus for us to attend is that one of the two guest speakers, the primary guest speaker is Matt Sullivan, the Director of Planning and Development in Wolfboro. And he's going to be discussing the Wolfboro Community Master Plan process. And also, as part of that discussion or part of that presentation, how Wolfboro used the Moose Mountain Regional Greenway Conservation Action Plan, which has a great deal of resources, particularly with regard to natural resources and maps and so forth, and how they use that in Wolfboro to shape visions, goals, recommendations in the overall planning process. Well, the invitation is for a meeting from 5:30 to 8:30. So I emailed them and asked them, can I have an agenda? And Matt is scheduled, it's a tentative agenda. Matt is scheduled to, the meeting actually opens at 6. There'll be networking and refreshments for a half hour. And then Matt will make his presentation at roughly 6:30. And this is at the Newt High School school cafeteria in Milton. And I plan to go.
Thank you, Diane. Any other member comments?
Yeah, could you forward that email to me? I think I might have. And it was MMRG, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
I think I did that.
Hearing no other member comments, meeting adjourned.